Hello and welcome back to the Self-Help Bookshelf. Today we're giving you a book update from an author's life, and with me today is Emma Oldershaw, who is writing her next book. And it is time for some updates on how progress is going for you today, Emma. Hi, thanks for joining me today.
Hello. Yes, exciting. So I have nearly finished my next book, which is really exciting. It's been quite a long process, this one. So I think I started in March with this one. So it's been about 4 months of researching and writing. So quite a lot of work. Compared to the last one that I did quite quickly, this has been quite a lengthy one because I've had to really think about it. But yeah, I'm on the last chapter as we speak, so it should be done by the end of the week.
Oh, amazing. So for people who've not seen the previous updates, tell us a little bit more about your book, your title, and what it's going to be about.
Okay, this is a quite a big book. So this is a book that I've wanted to write for quite a long time, I think. And so the first book that I did was really quite a more of a narrow concept because it was talking about limiting beliefs and where they come from and how we get rid of them. So it was quite a contained section of human life, I guess, but this is much wider. So this is talking about, so the title of it is Whose Stuff Is It Anyway? And by that, I mean, when we're going about our life and we're behaving in certain ways, is it our stuff or is it other people's stuff that we've inherited and taken on? And is it when we're relating to each other and actually to ourselves, are we relating to ourselves from an authentic place? Or is it from the point of view of stuff that we've taken on or we've heard and internalized? So it's more about relating, and it's about relating to ourselves, which I think is really important, and then relating to one another as well. So within the book, I've broken it down into lots of different areas. So it talks about relating to yourself, your family, your children, social media, human connection, addictions. What do they mean? Whose stuff is that? Fairy tales, really interesting little section about fairy tales. How we pass down a message through fairy tales between generations, and what that means in terms of how we relate to one another. So that was a really lovely little section. And then there's all kinds of really interesting little bits about codependency, trauma bonding, attachment styles. So it's a book to really make you think about your life and things that you might not have thought about in terms of how we relate to one another and where that might have come from. So I am really excited to get it finished.
Wow, that sounds incredible, Emma, and so much real life knowledge behind that. And there a lot of those things are things that people go through life without even thinking about, and yet
Yeah.
that's so relevant to the way we interact with the world around us. That this sounds
Yeah.
like an absolutely priceless book. It really does.
Well, thank you. I'm very excited for people to read it. And I think, like you say, some of it we don't think about. And I think we just go through life and we internalize messages from people, and then we don't realize how it affects us in terms of what we're prepared to, I suppose, put up with in terms of behavior and how we're relating to people. Fairy tales is an interesting one, particularly because if you
Oh, I
think
want to read
about
that bit. I'm going straight to that chapter.
it's only a short chapter, but I wanted it in there to sow the seed, really, just to get people to think about what
Mm.
is happening when we're reading stories to our kids, because we're normally picking the ones that we like. So why do we like them? And what message did we take from them when we were kids? And then we're passing it down. But actually, some of them are quite damaging. If you think about Beauty and the Beast, it's actually about Stockholm syndrome because it's about falling in love with your captor and you've been held hostage. So she's actually fallen in love with a guy that's held her hostage in a castle. And that's kind of not a healthy dynamic to base your relationships on. So if you flip that around and look at what's actually happening when we get past the, oh, isn't it lovely? And we look at what's actually going on, it's not quite as lovely as we first thought. And there are a lot of undertones, like quite dark undertones in fairy tales. Um, I remember reading The Brothers Grimm when I was a kid and being quite scared by some of the things. in fairy tales and found them quite disturbing. So it's really interesting to just think about that. But yeah,
Yeah,
there are a lot of chapters about different things that people may not have thought about, and just getting under the surface of what's
yeah.
going on, what have we taken on board, and how are we playing that out in our own life. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's really interesting. And I hadn't thought about it with the Stockholm syndrome, and I'm aware of what that is. But there's also could be other messages. So other people might watch the same fairy tale and get a completely different view of it. For
Mm-hmm.
example, that he was that way to begin with, almost like a curse because of trauma he'd been through in the past. And when
Yeah,
we talk about the
absolutely.
generational, so there's the generational side to it, but there's also
Yeah,
being able to see people for who they are in their soul, not for who they present on the outside. And so, like you say, so many different things we could take from it.
yeah, absolutely.
Like you said, it's which parts of it we're taking and carrying, which are really important. So,
Yeah, yeah,
is there a
definitely.
particular fairy tale that you like because it brings a positive message, and why?
um, I don't know. I mean, I think Disney for me, I've always found when I was a kid, I really liked Disney, and as I've become older and done my therapy training, I've fallen out of love with it a bit because of the messages that they spin about, we're going to be rescued by a prince and it's all going to be great, which I think does lead us into learned helplessness, and I think it leads us into let's wait for the prince to come and just give up, you know, hope until the prince comes and then it's all going to be fine. There are a lot of really toxic codependent relationships that are based around the fact that that's what people have done. And I feel like sometimes Disney have been a little bit at fault, if I'm honest, with how they've spun these things. I think now we've got much stronger women in Disney films. So I guess like Moana, you've got a much stronger female protagonist doing her own thing. And then again in Frozen, you've got the two strong sisters. So they are kind of coming forward with their representations, and I think they're trying to drag it into the modern times a bit more. So there are more modern ones that I quite like.
Mm.
But yeah, I think when I was a kid, I really loved Alice in Wonderland, but in the book I do talk about why that's actually quite disturbing. So you'll need to look out
Yeah,
for that part.
because there is a condition, a form of neurodivergent wiring. I don't know how to describe this really, but there is something where I've been talking recently about aphantasia, but it's inability to visualize. And then
Hmm.
there's the type where Alice in Wonderland is very similar to the movie Matilda, where they see things in a very fantastical way and visualize things that are not really there in everyday life. So it's the opposite,
Hmm.
the inability to visualize. And that is a real condition that some people live with. And then you
Yeah.
get some people who live with that, where it's a very disturbing, distorted, monsterish like expressions of people. And that's why you see some of this really disturbing artwork where the heads are all twisted and big teeth coming out. And there are people that actually walk around seeing the world like that. And that must be horrifying to have to live with
Hmm.
something like that. So
Hmm.
some of these things do come out of the basis that, yeah, for many people, and we talk about the Stockholm and the other things, and even with Frozen, there's a lot of stuff in there about the parental control as well. But because they're trying to
Yes.
protect her, but it comes across almost in the wrong way as well, and how she breaks free from all of that, her own limiting beliefs. So there is a lot of that. And do you know what this is? I could go on for hours about this,
Yeah, I
but
do talk about that parental control. I talk about that, but not in the context of fairy tales. I talk
yeah,
about it in the context of musicals, because musicals also give us messages. And obviously, I go to the theatre a lot, so I'm quite into my
yeah.
musicals. And the one that I watched most recently that I did a podcast on my YouTube channel was Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh,
And that
right.
is a musical where there is a lot of parental misunderstanding of their son's mental health condition. And they're not quite understanding how they should behave. And then I've got a whole section around that, and specifically how we should be looking at that in a different way and what children actually need as opposed to what we think they might need, which is very often two different things unless you've been on one of Kay's emotional awareness courses, and then you might work out what they actually need. But
Yes.
I think we do have that. There is a divide, and I see it a lot in therapy between a child who comes to me and tells me one thing, and then the parent says, "Oh no, it can't be that. It must be this." And there's a lot of assuming going on. So there's a
Yeah.
whole section about that as well. So we go into a lot of detail around that. So it's going to be a book for everyone. This one, there'll be
Oh,
something for everyone in
oh,
here.
it sounds amazing. Really does. Really does. And, then whatever we're going through in life, whatever the background trauma we picked up and carried, I love the fact that your work, everything you do is about focusing forward. And that's the key thing, is always about the
Yeah.
letting go of all the past and
Hmm.
like just freeing up to move forward with a whole new set of beliefs.
Yeah. It's about
Really enjoyed
awareness and yeah.
reading your first book. So I'm
Thank
definitely
you.
looking forward to reading this one as well, Emma.
I'm really excited for you to read it actually, because I'm
Yeah,
really excited to hear
I
what you think.
don't
And
know where I'm
it'll
going to
be
get the time, because I'm supposed to be writing my next book as well, and I'm not getting mine in.
well, mine's about 160 sides of A4 at the minute, so you're going to have quite a bit of you're going to have quite a bit of reading to do. It's quite a chunky book compared to the last one because there's much more to say, and I
Yeah, I
think I've
was going to
used
grab a
much
copy, but
more.
it's actually still in the car from when I did an event. So
Oh, okay,
I went to grab
yeah,
it a little while ago and it's not there.
yeah.
And,
It wasn't as big. It wasn't as big a book, was it? But this is bigger because I'm covering more
yeah,
in terms of like subject matter and different perspectives. So there's going to be more to it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been a
And yet,
beast of a thing to do.
yeah, and yet, regardless of the size of a book, if there is just one page or one paragraph or one chapter that changes somebody's life, that's the part of the book that matters.
Yeah,
And everybody
absolutely.
could get something different from it. We're talking about all those different experiences in the Disney movies.
Hmm.
And do you know what? I've got to add this one in. The one that always resonated with me from a child was The Princess and the Pea.
Okay.
And not because she was a princess, it was something about feeling the pea through all those mattresses. And I don't mean peeing in the night, but actually feeling the sensitivity. And so it wasn't until a few years ago I realized I have ADHD, and that actually my hypersensitivity is a thing, and that not everybody feels everything the way I do. And that's
No.
probably why I resonated with that all those years, is that level of hypersensitivity. But on the other hand, the power of never giving up, no matter what the challenges in life, especially helping my son. The one that I've always loved watching was Mulan. I could go back to that one over and over. When you talk about women who never give up and will fight for their purpose, that feels like me in my soul was watching Mulan. But yeah, so for any chapter in a book, and I've had this myself where I heard of a woman, I'd not met the woman, I don't know her, but somebody was sat beside someone in a support group and phoned me to say, this woman sat beside me this day and said to the group that she'd bought a book, and there was a bit in there about a journey to London where this woman had got lost, and she talked about the concept of feeling lost and about this map and all of this stuff about this journey and relating that back to emotions. And off the back of that one chapter, and this woman didn't even read any further, she got herself and her children out of an abusive relationship and turned her life around.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And this person rang me because they knew that story and knew that was my book.
That's really good. Yeah.
And if that one chapter, I hadn't even got to any of the framework I'd developed, but if that one chapter helped save somebody's life, that was worth me writing. And I know
Yeah.
certainly for you, your book's definitely changing lives. So well
Oh,
done.
thank you. I'm really, really happy if they are. I think it's really good if it's one sentence, if it's one paragraph, if it's just one story that's in the book that someone can relate to, then that's the job done, isn't it? That's the reason why we're writing the books, is to help people to make changes. And I think it's really important. And normally I talk about upcycling trauma as well. And I've got a lovely metaphor of a chest of drawers that I've recycled.
Ooh.
And each part of the recycling is stripping away trauma and rebuilding. So there's loads of really interesting stuff in this book. If you like metaphors, if you like Disney films, if you like fairy tales, if you're addicted to something, if you're a parent of a child, if you're trying to relate to a dysfunctional family, there's literally something for every scenario that you could think of in terms of relating to people. So I've really tried to cover quite a wide range of stuff with this one.
Yeah. And that I just want to highlight here shows how much knowledge and skill you've got around therapy, because all those topics we've talked about might be one topic applies to one person, or two or three might apply to one person and what they're going through. And you think of all the possibilities that people could go through and everything you encompass in your writing. It really shows the amount of study and work and experience that you have. And I want people to recognize that even if only one thing resonates with them, there is a phenomenal amount of information that you have had to pull together over years of study and experience and working with your clients. And honestly, it is tremendous. And you're amazing, Emma. You really are.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you. There is an awful lot. I mean, all of those topics on their own are a lot of study, I think. Codependency, you
Yeah.
could study for a long time.
Yeah.
Trauma bonding, you could study for a long time. Social media, you could study for a long time. I talk a lot about the lost connection, by which I mean the lost human connection, of social media. And I talk about the damage of that. And I talk about a lot of things that I've researched quite heavily. I talk about the rising ketamine use in young people, which is quite tragic that we're seeing at the moment. That's just killing people. We're seeing
Literally.
a lot
Yeah.
of celebrities that are dying from ketamine overdosing. So yeah, I've written quite a bit about that and kind of young people not fitting in, and that all of those subtopics are quite a lot within themselves. So to pull that into a book, it's taken me a good 4 months of working on it every day and kind of thinking about it. Even when I'm not writing, I'm thinking all the
Yeah.
time, like what's the next thing, or I'm carrying a notebook around and I'm trying to piece together what's next. So it was a lot of work, but I'm really proud of it. I'm really, really proud of it. I'm really excited to get it out there.
Oh, yeah, me too. I was so pleased for you. Looking forward to this. So, yeah, thank you for coming back and giving us an update today. And it'd be great if anybody is watching this can let us know what you think, what you're looking forward to. Let us know if
Yeah,
you want
please
any
do.
more. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to make sure you get more updates. So we'll let you know when Emma's finished writing entirely. We've got some of the process and editing formatting done. All the little back. Sometimes it can take us long to edit and format a book as it can to write it. So there's a lot of work to do if we're going to get your book released by
End of August for Ston and Barnes, Calm at the Barnes, I think, aren't we? Are we trying for
released.
that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. So that's the idea, is if we can.
yeah.
But failing that, we're hoping not to fail. We're definitely hoping to get it out for then. So some will be available. But the launch date is going to be, I believe, on the 30th of October for yours.
Yes, so we're
No,
going to be
September.
having, it's September, isn't it? At the end of
September,
September.
30th of September.
So
Mine's October.
so that's going to be the official, the official big launch will be the 30th of September. And then
Yeah.
if we can get a few copies ready for Calm at the Barnes, which is our 2 day
Yeah.
festival, Mind, Body, Spirit. So myself, Kay, and Rory are going to be there in a yurt, selling books and doing workshops. And I'm hoping I'm going to have a few copies available by then, depending on how quickly Kay can do her formatting part. So yes, you'll be all hands on deck trying to get it done in time.
Oh yes, absolutely. It's going to be great. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. I think my book is going to suffer the deadline because I've got to do my own as well, and I might end up outsourcing my formatting and proofreading this time. Because
Yeah,
mine's also going to be a very chunky book. I may have to shift my deadline, move it on a
yeah,
bit, but we'll see. We'll see. I'd rather get the quality right than the quantity on this one and the speed.
yes,
So for me, this book is going to be a much bigger one. But for
yeah,
now, we're going to focus on yours, get yours out. Mine
absolutely.
will be when it will be. And yeah,
Yes,
that's amazing, Emma. And certainly for Calm at the Barn, I'm really excited for that. With
yeah,
the 12 workshops we're doing. Well, between us, we're doing a half an hour workshop and an hour workshop each.
yeah,
So between the three of us, that's 6 workshops a day. I'm repeating that for 2 days. So there's 6 topics, 12 workshops over 2 days. That's Ston and Barnes. And if anybody wants to come and meet us there, take part in that. Our workshops in our year are free, but there are lots of other paid events at the Calm at the Barn as well. There will be stall holders with crystals and Reiki healing and all the other sound therapies. There's going to be sound baths, and it's just 2 days of absolute mind, body, spirit bliss in a field. And
brilliant.
camping. So whether you're bringing a camper van or a tent or a caravan, or whether you hire a caravan at the holiday park next door, you don't have to literally stay in a tent. There is a caravan park next door. but get booked in while there's still spaces if there are. So, and also when you book in a tent or a caravan, book in the workshops as well, because there are limited seats per workshop. And once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
And so get them booked in as well. And we look forward to
Brilliant.
seeing some people there.
We
So
do. We do.
I've got to keep doing my exercises until then, because I've got to make sure I'm fit enough to help put this yurt hut up. You're remembering that as well, Emma.
Gosh, okay. Well, Sophia can do my share of that. I'll get her on.
Oh
She,
no, we're going
she...
to need all of us. I think we might have to draft some more in as well. But we've got to put up. Well, I've got to put up my own tent as well as help with the hut and the gazebo where the books are going to be. So we've got that to put up as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's going to be fun. But we're going to enjoy this, and we look forward to seeing everybody there on
yeah,
the 30th
absolutely.
and the 31st of August. But
Yes, brilliant.
great and well done, Emma. Honestly, you've absolutely blown us away writing this book, because we all started with the intention of starting new books this year, and you've left us standing. You literally have.
I've just gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
blazed off. But I think once I get momentum, I just go. And like you always say, it's about the intention.
Yeah.
And it is about the intention for me. And once I've got the intention, that I don't stop until I finished.
Yeah.
So I knew that I would get it done somehow, and
Yeah.
it's now a chapter away from being finished. So
Brilliant.
if anyone has got any last minute topics that they would like to see me cover, because I have got another few days to write. So if anyone's got a last minute burning topic that they'd like me to cover, please pop it in the comments. I will do my very best
There
to
we
get it
go.
in.
There we go. Your last chance to have an influence and inspire Emma.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Pop it in the comments and we'll see what we can do.
Excellent. Well, thank you, and say thank you for watching today. For anyone who's made it this far, do let us know. Hashtag replay, whatever you've seen. And thank you for joining us with the Self-Help Bookshelf. Whether you're seeing this on Facebook, LinkedIn, or on YouTube, please remember, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave us comments, and even share, because the more you share our work, it costs you nothing to share, but it could help somebody else change their life by connecting with authors like Emma and the books that she's creating, and her business, which we didn't even mention today, Open Skies Hypnotherapy, which is based in North Norfolk. And we'll pop the link for that in the description as well.